So the other day, it was revealed who the four corporate officers were in the lawsuit filed by Janelle Grant. In the lawsuit, they weren't named. It was corporate officer 1, 2, 3, 4. Two of the corporate officers were Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon. With these, allegations against Vince McMahon, obviously goes out saying that, very serious allegations here. But with this, though, does Vince McMahon, his old age, does he fully understand the severity of these allegations? At this point, he must fully understand the severity of the allegations here, right? With everything from before, when it first came out about the NDA and the hush money payment, and that he had with a woman, a paralegal, and he passed her around like a toy to John Laurinaitis. Vince McMahon didn't step down right away. Vince McMahon then about a day or two later on SmackDown comes out, does the whole welcome to SmackDown introduction, throws the mic down, leaves, and apparently when he got backstage, got through the curtain, he went, fuck him. So at that point, Vince was, he was sticking two fingers up to all his his detractors and haters. And even when Vince stood down, was it Raw, Smack, or SmackDown? Stephanie was leading the crowd to "Thank you, Vince" chant, and he couldn't just do it quietly. He had to keep himself out there. But with this, Vince has been very quiet. There was just the one statement, from Vince McMahon, and he said he was looking for basically, what the people usually say when they've been accused of something that it looks like they very well that they actually are guilty of. They do the whole I'm looking forward to clear my name thing. But with this though, this is very serious. I mean, when you're talking about potentially criminal charges, there could be criminal charges there too. With this, as prosecutors try to determine if federal law was broken in conduct surrounding recent allegations that have been made public in lawsuits. And there's the whole thing that his phone was seized by federal officials, and apparently a close friend of his had mentioned that there's a federal investigation. So the civil charge right now, there's a lawsuit, but then it could even be worse, and there could be criminal charges, and he could be spending his final years in life in jail, perhaps, if found guilty. It really, for most people looking at this, it doesn't look good. But I just wonder, in Vince McMahon, if you're in his shoes, how does he feel right now? And, is there part of Vince that, thinks, I'll be okay in the end, I'll win, I'll get through this, just like everything else and through my life, I got through it, he with the whole steroid scandal, the sex scandal, survived that, got through that. Does he think that he will be able to? Is he fully confident he's going to clear his name here? You just never know though what's going through his head, and I don't know. I mean, in some respects he might be deluded and think, oh, this is going to be a walk in the park. But different times now, it's a different culture. He hasn't got that pit bull Jerry McDevitt for a lawyer. He's like, nah, I'm done with this shit. Good luck. You're on your own, pal. But it's interesting. I came across a video that Vince Russo had done on his channel, and a very clickbaity type headline: Vince McMahon secretly planning to buy AEW, when we know there's no way that would ever happen. But they get into saying about how Vince McMahon, he might potentially be thinking of doing something else, and maybe would do something and try and remain in the wrestling industry. So with this, I'm going to play this clip, and then I'll react at the end, and then give you my take on it. So here we go.
As crazy and far-fetched as this is, you and I know Vince McMahon is very, very, very vindictive.
Oh, yeah, he is.
And we also know, Al, you cannot be sitting at home doing nothing.
Oh,
Come on, Al. Like, no way in the world. Al, is this crazy? Could Vince be taking out all this money and stockpiling all this money because he's opening up a new wrestling company?
It's not beyond the realm of possibility. No, it isn't. I would not be a bit surprised if there were an announcement that came and saying that he was doing exactly that. I'm sure I would also not be surprised that what your speculation is quite real. And I'm sure there are people that are close to him heavily advising him against doing it at this time, for fear of the repercussions of what's happening right now.
But isn't that Al?
He would love nothing more than to start another company and then compete with the very company that he started and put it out of business if he could.
That's exactly who he is. And the more people that tell him you're crazy, don't do it, the more likely he is to do it, right?
Yeah, you're not off base with that at all. That I know too. Someone who's listening is like, oh, come on, that's ridiculous. But you know that guy personally, and you know that is exactly his MO. He lives for shit like this. He loves it. He loves to be able to do something where nothing better than for him to literally take the money he has gotten, restart another company, and then go head to head with the very same company that he started and beat it.
I mean, there's no way. You and I know Vince. There is no way this is his swan song. I mean, there's no way. And I try to imagine, what is he doing on a daily basis? He's at the gym 14 hours a day?
Yeah, no. Now that you mention it, that is a very likely possibility. You can imagine he would take this money out and would be looking to start another venture of some sort. I have no doubt about that. But the likelihood is, he's like, okay, now let's get going. Let's see what you can do. And he is taking this money to start up another wrestling company and sports entertainment company.
Right.
And literally go. Nothing would make him happier than to go to head to head with WWE and really to stick it up everyone's ass by beating WWE in its own game.
Yeah, I'm people don't know this guy, but yeah. What else?
Very real. That's a very real possibility.
There's no question in my mind.
Yep. I mean, that's quite an out there theory, what they're saying there, Vince Russo and Al Snow. I mean, the whole, AEW, secret plan by AEW, that's too much of a clickbaity type headline there. But, remember, it was just last week, he sold, it was at $448 million in stock options. Was it 6 or 7 months ago? He cashed out on $750 million. So so what they're saying about him stockpiling money to start up a new venture, it wouldn't be out of this world. It wouldn't surprise me if that's maybe what he is planning on, doing. Probably if he was gonna set up a new wrestling promotion. I mean, it would be, you would probably need about 150 million, 200 million capital around that. I don't think it would be something wrestling. He might try and do something else within the sports or entertainment, media. But yeah, I mean, you never know. Never say never, right? As they always say in wrestling. It's interesting them. It's kind of funny what they're saying there about him, setting up a new company to go toe and toe and try and beat, WWE, what he created. It's kind of reminds me of the whole storyline with Vince and Flair, and then Vince, remember McMahon brings in the NWO. He said he was gonna kill his creation. He was gonna inject the WWF with a lethal dose of poison. Remember that storyline? That's maybe what Vince would have in his mind, that he's going to kill that company. Him having to stand down with everything that happened, knowing that there's no chance he's going to get back now. TKO don't want him back. And, but the only thing with that, though, of him setting up his own promotion, how many top names, though, would he be able to draw to bring into a wrestling company? Because how many people really would want to work? Number one, with all these allegations with McMahon, how many people would really go back there to work with just a upstart promotion? Okay, Vince will own it and run it, whatever. But I mean, what he would be able to get John Cena? He would bring him in? But what would Randy Orton go? I mean, I don't know about that. But so that, having that, a U company that, it would be hard for him to draw top names. You can create U stars, but then you're still going to have those established stars that, to really get you up off the ground. So, I mean, would Vince McMahon do that? Maybe, I mean, he definitely probably wants to be back in the wrestling business. I get their point that, Vince McMahon just sitting at home and really doing nothing, just sitting watching TV. That's not what he wants to be working. That WWE was his life. And, you can only spend, so much hours in the gym. You've got to do other things, get other interests and hobbies. But I mean, yeah, from what they're saying, there'll be people strongly advising him against doing that, trying to set up a new promotion. But, does Vince really listen? Does he take advice from other people? I mean, Vince was trying to say, though, the whole thing about, apparently he stood down because that was under the advice, he got the wrong, bad advice. But, does Vince really listen to other people, though? He might value certain people, their opinions, but he'll always go, I imagine, with his own decision, his own gut feeling. I mean, maybe he would try and set up another thing with football, American football. That might be one thing. The whole XFL thing, I think that's another thing, another sign of Vince McMahon's ego, you know what I mean? I remember in the McMahon documentary, and he was talking about that XFL thing, and he said, at the time, 2002, it'd been around for a year. He just said to himself, come on, Vince, basically saying, don't let your ego get the best of you here, man. And but then, 18 years later, he sets up the XFL again. It's like, it was a dead deal. I felt it was you're trying to bring the XFL back to life. I just felt it was never going to work, and it potentially could have. I mean. He was maybe unlucky when COVID hit, but I don't know. I think, Vince McMahon would like to see himself as like a Walt Disney. I think there's that thing of Vince feeling that, people, these big other entertainment, media titans, I don't know, people like your Trevor Murdochs or whatever, like they look down on wrestling. Vince, wanted to be seen at the table with them. That's something that Nick Khan said about now, feeling that like, that Vince was saying, or something, that he felt like now that WWE was at the adult table. This was like back in maybe around, I don't know, 2020, 2021 time he made that comment. But I mean, the XFL, again, XFL was a dud, so I don't know if they even trying to set up a football league or something else with sports. There was always the rumors about Vince McMahon. There was rumors that Vince McMahon was going to buy Newcastle United, but I don't know if that was just maybe Newcastle United fans that were just making up that rumor, and that fans of Newcastle United and fans who were WWE fans as well just wanted to believe that Vince would buy their club over, or they would just made it up for shits and giggles, that rumor. I don't know. Vince McMahon, though, trying to buy a soccer team, I mean, and it was the English Premier League. I don't think he'd be welcome there. But if it was somewhere in like a European team, one of the MLS teams, I don't know, maybe, but I couldn't see him doing that, though, with the English Premier League. But if it was something, if it was a soccer team, though, you never know, maybe, or if it was something you want to get involved in with hockey or baseball, I don't know. But it'd just be interesting to see where this goes, and what more will we hear on the stuff with it. We already the names have been revealed, with the corporate officers, who they are in that lawsuit. But just be curious to see, will we hear any more? Will Janelle Grant? Will there ever be an interview with her? Will she speak publicly? It'll just be, curious to know what will happen next in all this big saga. But that's my video for now. That's me for now. So thanks a lot, guys. Feel free to like, hit the subscribe button, and give me your take. What do you think? What will be Vince McMahon's? What will be his next move? But that's me. Thanks.